Ladies and gentlemen, you are watching yet another episode of Lima Shenanigans of 1977. It's Monday night, and you know what that means. It's time for the Raw Event Center, and here's the man that could give you the raw report of what happened on Monday nights, Eric M. Lima. Thank you very much, Mr. Announcer, sir. Well, hello there, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Lima Shenanigans of 1977. Episode 1236 of the show. How's it going, everybody? I hope everybody is having a wonderful, wonderful day. I forgot to do this. I usually do this first, then I do the Trebek Tuesday. I did a little reverse. I think I change it up a little bit though today. Just for today, let's talk about what happened last night on Monday Night Raw. The fallout from the Elimination Chamber that happened in Perth, Australia. And Dominic Mysterio, who gets booed out of the building in San Jose, introduces the Women's World Champion, Rhea Ripley, who is up for a nomination for South Australian Person of the Year, I think. I don't know, it was Woman of the Year or Person of the Year? I think it was Person of the Year for 2024. I hope she gets the award. That would be really cool. She addresses the San Jose crowd, and then Becky Lynch interrupts Rhea Ripley saying, hey, I won the Elimination Chamber. You and I, we're going one-on-one. So they had their say. And as Rhea Ripley walks out, Nia Jax comes in, blindsides Becky Lynch. And it seems like Nia Jax is still upset the fact that she lost last night. That she lost this past Saturday night. This past Saturday, I should say. Because Saturday morning was when the whole thing went down with wrestling. But anyways, Adam Pearce and referees and officials stopped Nia Jax before she did any further damage. So Nia Jax was fine. And then Jackie Redmond interviewed Nia Jax, and she says, the beating that I'm going to give Liv Morgan will be 10 times worse than I gave Becky Lynch. So, bearing that in mind, Sami Zayn and Shinsuke Nakamura renewed their rivalry that started 10 years ago back in NXT, and Sami Zayn actually won the matchup. Chelsea Green addresses the San Jose crowd. First, she encountered fluffy Gabriel Iglesias, who was looking for Raquel Rodriguez. And then she gets upset at Raquel Rodriguez for throwing her out of the Battle Royal. Raquel Rodriguez came out. Now, you notice that she's not been wearing any makeup. She was fighting some kind of thing that kind of, I think it irritates her skin. I don't know if the makeup was irritating her skin. I don't know what the heck is going on, but I know she was fighting a medical condition. So she probably had to stay away from makeup for quite a while, so which is understandable, But anyway, she came out, Raquel Rodriguez, and fought Chelsea Green and ended up winning the matchup. And then Jackie Redmond, the lovely Jackie Redmond, interviewed Sami Zayn, as Sami Zayn says, well, I don't know what my next step is for WrestleMania, but I did have a win over Shinsuke Nakamura. Ludwig Kaiser walks in, looks at Sami Zayn, Giovanni Vinci, kind of like a smirk and smile, and like, yeah. And then Sami Zayn looks at Gunther. Gunther looks at him and starts laughing. Well, it seems to me that and Gunther better be careful who he goes up against. So Sami Zayn, he's a former Intercontinental Champion, mind you, so might as well be well with that. Kathy Kelly interviewed Cody Rhodes as Cody Rhodes goes one-on-one with Grayson Waller. It's going to be a heck of a matchup after the whole thing with that happened at the Grayson Waller effect in Australia and the Elimination Chamber. Imperium comes out to addressing the San Jose crowd as Gunther addresses his record-breaking Intercontinental title run. I'm running out of challengers. They picked this person. He said, they even picked R-Truth. And I was the one that tweeted R-Truth. R-Truth ended up landing in Austria instead of Australia. So you got those two countries mixed up name-wise. So I made a suggestion, you should book R-Truth and Gunther for the Intercontinental title. So Gunther, if you want to know who the guy was that suggested R-Truth, that was me. I'm guilty. So, I'm the guilty one. I'm the guilty one. That's what happens when you go on X. So, yeah, I went on X.com and said, so if anyone wants to know who suggested our truth, that was me. But I'm sure a lot of other people did, but I was the one who made the suggestion. So, Judgment Day, though, interrupts Imperium. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. You talk about two heel factions. And Damian Priest says that he says Judgment Day is going to collect all the gold, including that. And then Dominic Mysterio gets in his face and said Judgment Day is going to all the gold. And then but Priest wants to fight, but Judgment Day holds him back. He says, calm down, we'll get our shot. And he's still got that Money in the Bank briefcase, mind you, so who knows for sure. They were talking about the confrontation, and Rhea Ripley's kind of looking at Dominic and says, of all people, Gunther? He said, don't worry, Mommy, I got this. You better. I mean, Dominic Mysterio challenging Gunther for the Intercontinental title? I don't know about that, my friend. Because Gunther, you may have a bird-like chest there, Mr. Dominic. But anyways, Andrade was talking to Dominic. He said, well, I'm going to get my first match back. I'll see you soon. Is Andrade's first match back on the WWE and in competition against none other than Dominic? We'll have to wait and tune. We'll stay tuned for that. As the street fight, between New Day and Imperium, these two teams have beaten the living you-know-what out of each other. It was just a crazy, crazy deal. Crazy matchup this was. I mean, both teams gave it their all, but Imperium ended up winning in the end. So that kind of makes Gunther a little bit proud. So Imperium's kind of get that momentum going. Man, it was crazy. It was crazy. Then Chad Gable was talking to Adam Pearce about getting a shot at the Intercontinental title. He says that, it's more than a title for me. It's personal. It's not just for me. It's for my, He says he probably couldn't get the image the image of his daughter crying after Gable lost to Gunther for the Intercontinental title out of his head, and it's kind of. I'm sure in a way it's bothering Chad Gable, and I don't blame him. I mean, him being a father, a family man, want to do things right with his kids, by his kids. And I'll tell you one thing right now: my respect goes to Chad Gable. If Gable wants a shot at the Intercontinental title, let him get a shot again. And meanwhile, Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark will complain about Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae getting the tag team title shot because Indy. In Australia, because Indies and Australians would beat every team, and we're going to show the Kabuki Warriors how it's done. Meanwhile, that led to the matchup between Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae versus Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark, and Baszler and Stark ended up winning the matchup, getting momentum. Maybe to challenge the Kabuki Warriors for the tag team titles at WrestleMania. Who knows? If that's going to be the case. R-Truth was sitting in the Judgment Day locker room by himself, reminiscing since Judgment Day took off for the day. And he was wearing his t-shirt and DIY, and the Miz come over and cheer him up. He goes, hey, and he still mistakes DIY for DX. And then I was saying, wait, Regenerate? Well, Regeneration X. And then Miz is like, oh, that's awesome, but we'll go get back at Judgment Day. So they wanted to go cheer him up. Drew McIntyre came out to address the San Jose crowd and says he won the Elimination Chamber. Now he's going to call Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins says, "Listen," and he's concerned about Seth Rollins and the bloodline. We got to get until we knock the bloodline out of the way. It's gonna hurt our match. So unless we get the bloodline out of the way, we can't. We want to do this right at WrestleMania. So bloodline fingerprints all over this. Now, and both gentlemen walk away. Liv Morgan went one-on-one with Nia Jax, and the match was good until Becky Lynch got involved, attacking Jax, giving Nia Jax the victory via disqualification, which probably did not sit well with Liv Morgan, obviously. So those two are not finished yet. either. So, Kathy Kelly interviewed Grayson Waller and Austin Fury, and Grayson Waller says he's been embarrassed in his home country, but he took out Austin Fury, but he says he's going to make Cody Rhodes pay. And then we had we just learned that yesterday, Ole Anderson, who was one of the original founding members of the Four Horsemen, passed away. Passed away at the age of 68 years old. Actually, passed away at 62 years old. No, wait a minute. 1942, 2024. Hold on just a second. Gotta use the calendar. Yeah, sometimes, 2024, 1942. At the age of 82 years old, Ole Anderson has passed away. Ric Flair tweeted it out. So my condolences and prayers go out to the Four Horsemen, the remaining Four Horsemen that are still alive, and to Ric Flair, and to the family and friends and fans of Ole Anderson. So my condolences and prayers go out to them. Becky Lynch confronted Adam Pearce about Nia Jax, and then Pearce goes, "How about next week?" Perfect, she says. And then Liv Morgan confronts him and says, "No, not everything's going to be about you. Liv, you got to calm down." Becky Lynch won the Elimination Chamber matchup. I mean, I think a little bit aside of Liv Morgan is still sore that Becky Lynch pinned her to win that matchup. So I'm sure Liv Morgan will probably get herself in the thick of things. That's for sure. Well, Jackie Redmond interviewed Jey Uso and asked him how he felt about losing the matchup last week, and he said, "Well, not only friends and enemies, and you got your family that could cost you the matchup." I thought he was going to address Jimmy Uso until Drew McIntyre interrupts him. "Listen, I know how you feel and all that, but you deserved it." And then Jey Uso went at him, and the officials and referees tried to separate these two guys, and like both men brawl, and the officials and referees and all that separate those two. That leads to that matchup next week. Looks like Jey Uso will have to go get by Drew McIntyre, and he's probably going to have to focus on his brother. And if this matchup happens, this will be the third legit brother versus brother matchup, and the first since the Hardys at WrestleMania 25. WrestleMania 10 was Bret and Owen Hart. The Hardys, and then 15 years later was the Hardys, and now another 15 years later is the Usos. Then Cody Rhodes and Grayson Waller went one-on-one. It's a huge main event, an opportunity for the Aussie icon. And as the match was going on, Michael Cole just reported that Paul Heyman was backstage. So Rhodes ended up winning the matchup, and Heyman arrived with three off-duty NYPD officers who have been suspended. So, and basically was telling Cody Rhodes to back off on the challenge of The Rock. He says, "The bloodline setup, come get me." And so Rhodes, and then he goes not another step in the ring, and then Paul Heyman was about to go in. He said, "May I?" "No, you may not." And then the three security officers, the suspended officers, stepped in the ring. They tried to beat up Cody Rhodes, but Cody Rhodes beat him to the punch. And then Paul Heyman got one of his cell phones, his famous cell phone, call Roman Reigns. But he had another one, call The Rock. I want to conclude with this. I never thought I would see the day when Paul Heyman and The Rock are on the same side, joining forces. You're talking about a dangerous alliance, and no pun intended on that. I mean, imagine Paul Heyman and The Rock on the. I never thought that would happen. Has anybody just realized this? Paul Heyman and The Rock joining forces. Paul Heyman, the guy who founded ECW, who basically founded Extreme Championship Wrestling, the guy who ran ECW, joining forces with the possibly the biggest celebrity in Hollywood, in sports and entertainment, the biggest superstar probably in the WWE, Paul Heyman and The Rock. When you have a phone that can have access to The Rock's number, Paul Heyman has. Paul Heyman's got his little, he's got his old school gimmick, with the phone and all. It's like an old school gimmick, but with a new version of a phone. I mean, Paul Heyman and The Rock. Paul Heyman and The Rock. I mean, I'm wrapping my brain around this, going, holy mackerel! I just realized Paul Heyman, probably one of the best managers in the 80s and 90s, possibly in the 90s, in WCW, ran one of the big three companies in ECW. Who would have thought nowadays, you fast forward to 2024, and who would have thought you would see The Rock and Paul Heyman joining forces on your wrestling bingo card? I mean, you're talking about a dangerous alliance, like I said again, no pun intended. But this is insane. Paul Heyman and The Rock. Paul freaking Heyman, Dwayne the freaking Rock Johnson. Together. Part of the, how dangerous now the bloodline is going to be with Paul Heyman and The Rock? Who would have thought that Paul Heyman would be answering to The Rock? This is going to be insane, folks. I'm telling you, this is going to make Rhodes' climb to the championship that much harder. When you have Paul Heyman and The Rock working together on the same team, it'll be very interesting to see what he says. The Rock would say this coming Friday on SmackDown. Folks, I got a feeling we're in for a wild, wild ride to WrestleMania 40. Tensions already been built. It has been to the point where everybody's starting to fight each other and all that, and tempers started flaring like crazy. Dude, I can imagine what NXT is going to be like with Stand and Deliver not that far off, and there. And we're talking about 39 days till WrestleMania now. 39 days. This is surreal, folks. Totally surreal. I really don't know, man. I really do not know. This is going to be crazy, folks. The next month, the whole entire month of March, emotions are going to be at a fever pitch in the WWE like it's never been done before. There's never been before. This is the 40th anniversary of freaking WrestleMania. That is coming in Philadelphia. And I'm thinking Paul Heyman and The Rock on the same team, on the same side. Cody, my man, you got your work cut out for you. You better bring an army. You know what? It's too bad that Tony Khan and everybody else in AEW wouldn't work with the WWE, because imagine if people in AEW, people in AEW probably support Cody Rhodes. I know Dustin Rhodes will be one of them. If they were given permission, this could have been a WWE versus AEW war. If you think about that. This could have been. Think about it, Cody Rhodes just came from AEW when he signed on with the WWE. Imagine if I don't know if he has any pull in AEW still, but I don't think so. But if he still had pull in AEW, imagine the army he may bring against the bloodline. If you couldn't call on Seth Rollins, Plan B could have been that. This could have been a whole new war. But be that as it may, it is what it is right now. Like I said, either way, this WrestleMania is going to be probably the biggest WrestleMania ever. WrestleMania 40 years of WrestleMania. This is probably going to be the biggest road to WrestleMania we've ever traveled on. This is going to be very interesting, folks. Can't wait to see what happens on NXT tonight. And on SmackDown, folks. Hang on. Buckle your seatbelts, kids. This is going to be a heck of a wild ride. That's all the time we have on the show for episode 1236 of the show. Tonight, NXT. Tomorrow, Wild Way. Got AEW Dynamite as well. The final AEW Dynamite before Revolution. That starts this Sunday as well. Well, that's all I got. So, until the next episode comes rolling around, Mr. Announcer, take us home. That is all for today's episode. This is your announcer speaking for Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. A Big Beefy E, doing for Bob Saget Productions, and in association with a Raven Bofa Telepictures and Distribution. Thank you for watching today's episode. Tune in next time for another episode of Eric Lima Shenanigans of 1977. Goodbye for now.